Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you tuning in here. I think that's what they say for YouTube. I'm really not sure, but if you would like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it for sure. So this week I'm talking about a bait that I don't think you hear about it, it gets a lot of love, but I think it's kind of underrated on exactly how powerful it is. And my biggest fish of 2020 came on this, and it I think number one, nobody knows how to pronounce it correctly, and number two, I think it's one of those things that people throw a whole lot more than what they tell you. So it's I'll call it the Nico rig, although I've heard it called Neko. Neck sounds weird to me, so I'm gonna say Nico. Probably Neko. I would think coming from Japan sounds a little more Japanese. But here we go. And first of all, I'm sponsored by, you can see in the back, X-Zone Lures, but this week I'm not talking about an X-Zone lure bait. Although the MB Fat Finesse Worm, if you look at Carl Jacobson, he recently put a video that he Nico rigs with this, but I just haven't, and there's a couple reasons. Although I am thinking about trying that one too, so I need to start messing with that before long. But here it is. Here's my actual setup, and I pulled it straight off catching a couple of 19s last Saturday on this. So there it is, the Nico rig with the Zman Bang Stickz. Got the Z at the end, so BANGSTICKZ, Bang Stickz. And it's got it's just a big TRD tickler. It's got the little, I guess, squid tail you'd say. So it's really just a big, I think the tickler's a 3-inch and this is 5.75, so like a 6-inch bait. Good size, good medium range, kind of all around size. And a couple of the reasons I do use this is, number one, I don't have to use O-rings. Man, being in the kayak, it sure is nice being able to not have to use an O-ring, because that's the only reason I use this in place of a wacky rig. So you could really say wacky, light-weighted wacky rig / Nico, because they're really the same thing in my view. And I actually rig it instead of hooking it up the worm. So instead of, you can see it here, how it's hooked sideways, it would just be, the hook point would be coming up this way, and it would come out up here. You know, so is this really a weighted wacky rig? Probably, but that's the only difference in between this and Nico. So that's kind of strange. So I'm just saying Nico / wacky weighted worm. But the reason I do it is, number one, don't have to use an O-ring. That's awesome. Number two, these little shroom heads. And if you watch Carl Jacobson's video, I've been doing this way before he put that on there, because the head, the weight, sticks out of the worm. I think he said that you feel more of the bottom. I think that's probably true. So two definitely, but you could use this weight the same Z-Man Shrooms. It's actually called Z-Man Nico Shrooms Wacky Rig Nose Weight. Very long title, but yeah, that's what it does. It sits on the outside rather than being like a weight that goes inside the bait. But the way Carl was saying he does, he just puts a drop of glue on it before he puts it in, and it sticks. So that's why he uses this weight. So a little juice there if you want to use a different kind of worm rather than Z-Man, because not everybody likes him. But it's I don't have to use an O-ring, and I can use that weight at the end. That's really the two reasons I use it. And it's so light, it's pretty buoyant. So using that lightest weight, you can really use it like a weighted wacky rig. If the weight offset of the buoyancy of the bait is probably the same as a super light weighted wacky rig, because you can absolutely skip this a mile. You can fish it as deep as you want to. It's just one of those all-around baits. And if I were taking somebody fishing for the first time, and other than like a tiny child rig, which you can look that up somewhere. That's what I do for my son. But anything else, this is like the bait I would give somebody if they only knew how to use a spinning rig. I'd probably, or spin cast too. Give them a Zepco and throw a Nico on there, because it didn't get hung up very much. The place I was fishing this weekend where I caught them up on Gunnersville, I was not using a and you can see how durable it is after catching a couple fish. I mean, it's still 100% ready to go. It didn't get hung up, and that's why a lot of times whenever you're throwing a shaky head, and you can throw it in the same place as a shaky head, let's say riprap. Shaky head's good on riprap, but a lot of times you're still going to get hung up. You don't really get hung up with this, especially because I'll get to the hook, but I always throw the weedless version. Open water, structure, it doesn't matter. I throw that same hook. I only carry one. But yeah, it doesn't get hung up. It's great around structure. It skips. It's just kind of good for everything. So it's a good all-around bait, a great kayak bait. So if you're looking for a new kayak bait, man, I cannot tell you how powerful this bait is. I keep showing it, but it doesn't look like much. But man, it is an absolute killer. It truly is. So I just can't stress enough. If you're looking for a new bait, it's the beginning of the season, and if you're still, let's say you're up and you have hard water, you're still up north, and you don't have any bait, you haven't been able to get on the water yet, and you're looking to try a new technique this year, let the Nico rig be that bait. Whatever worm you like, but the setup will be pretty similar, but you can use a different worm. So, all right, so some of the specifics. I use this color, the black blue laminate, if the water is dirty. If the water is clear, like real clear, I use it's called the Deal is the color. And then I also use green pumpkin blue if during the summer I'm fishing around brim beds, or during the spawn. I like a brim colored bait during the spawn. So yeah, just think dark water, clear water for the Deal, and then some kind of brim imitator, green pumpkin, something in there for whenever you want to imitate a brim. Those are my colors. And I showed you the weight, the Z-Man Nico Shrooms Wacky Rig Nose weight. So I used the green pumpkin in all of them. So yeah, always use green pumpkin. They sell a black also, but can you tell there's a green pumpkin in there? No, it's so close. It doesn't matter. It's natural. Just go pick one color. If you want black, use black. And I use 3 different weights. I use the 1/20th for 8 feet and less, the 1/15th for less than 15 feet, so a little bit deeper. And it's good all around too. And then the 1/10 if I'm really fishing deep, or I want more of a reaction strike. If I'm trying to get it down a little bit quicker, I will use that. Well, I can show you all of them. I carry them all. This is how I carry my tackle. I put it in here in these little bags, and now I put it in my Plano edge box. You can see that here. Boom, Plano edge box. That's mine. Says it right there on the end. Finesse. So that's my finesse box. I don't want to show all that. You can probably pause it and look though. But alright, so you got that, you got the weight. So now you got the worm and the weight. I used the VMC, it's the Ike approved weedless Nico. And I use pretty sure, I kind of go back and forth in between the 1 and the 1/0. But you can see it there. It's got the little, what is that, little mono guards, weed guards. But they're not too stiff, and that's why I think it's also still good in open water. So they don't do a whole lot, but they do enough. They keep it weedless. I'll tell you what, the hookup percentage on this bait, it's not 100%, but doggone, it's got to be close. I mean, this is one fish catching machine, and the hookup ratio is amazing. It might be my highest hookup ratio bait I have. That's real talk. It just absolutely catches them. So those 3 weights, you got the hook, either a 1 or a 1/0. Either one's fine. I think this one's probably a 1/0. I'm not sure. Might be a 1. I take it, what I do is I take it out of the package, and then I'll show you exactly what I do. So I cut it off. It comes on these little packages. Well, it just fell off. I say that. But they come on these little packages, so you just leave them on there. Like I cut it out of the package. So they always forget how big the the hook is, but I really do. I think it's probably a 1. I did say 1 a second ago, but it's probably a 1. Okay, so you got the hook, you got the weight, you got the worm. Now, the actual setup. On all my spinning rods, I use 12-pound Sunline SX1 braid to a fluorocarbon leader, and I use 8-pound. The only leader I carry is 8-pound Sungar, Seagar, and VizX. I will throw this in docks. I will throw it in cover. I will throw it anywhere. I mean, absolutely anywhere. I caught a 4.5-pound spot last year, flipping a shaky head into cover into laydowns, and had the fish pinned for a good 2 minutes before I was able to get it out on that Seagar and VizX 8-pound line. I just have so much confidence in it. I don't feel like I need to go up to 8 to 12. Some people do. Some people like a little bit heavier line, but I don't, and maybe that's why I get a little bit more action and a few more bites. So all I can do is, this whole series is just based on nothing crazy. I'm pulling things straight out of my tackle box and showing you what's most successful for me, and that's a pound line that I use. So there you go. The rods I use, it's a mix in between 2 different rods. The first is a 7-foot Falcon Expert. It's 7-foot medium. It's a good all-around. Medium's the right power to me. You want a little bit of tip, something pretty soft, but a medium's just a good all-around spinning rod. Also have a 7-foot, and you can get that from Summerland Outdoors. Great shops. They have all the rods all the time. If you need a rod and you can't find it anywhere else, check out Summerland Outdoors because they probably have it. But also I have a Davis Custom Rod 7.2 medium. So a medium, let's say a medium. So somewhere between 7 and 7.2. Even if you went down 6'10", if you were skipping docks, you wanted something a little bit shorter, to a little bit closer combat kind of deal, that'd be fine too. A little bit longer if you want to bomb cast it a little bit further if you are fishing open water. That makes sense too. So there isn't like a strict length requirement. I probably wouldn't go over 7.2. That'd be plenty. So let's say 6'10" to 7.2 medium action spinning rod. I use a 2500 series reel, but you know, 2500. A lot of people use 3000. I just prefer 2500. That's how I have all mine, and it's really just spool capacity on a lot of spinning reels. It's the same size reel, just the actual spool is a different line capacity. So that's usually the only difference in a lot of brands. But it's mine's a Quantum Smoke 6-3-1. If you're looking for a spinning reel, at least whatever brand you like, again, you can get it at Summerland Outdoors. But really, as long as it's 6-speed, that's one thing I'd be looking for. There's no reason to have a 5-speed spinning reel anymore. It's too slow. So you got the rod, Falcon Expert 7-foot medium. That's the one I prefer. That's the deal. Falcon, holler at your boy. And so where to throw it? Like I said, I'm going to throw this deal anywhere. Open water, cover, bridges, docks, especially docks, man. It's a killer around the lighter weight. I mean, it's a weedless wacky. You can throw it anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. It absolutely gets bit. I caught an 8.3 last year on it. Well, 2020. So it'll get big bites. Don't believe it won't. That the fairy wand won't catch a big, because I promise it will. Yeah. So that's this is a big one. You need to get on this Nico rig train if you haven't already. And retrieve, if the way I think about it is, so it falls like this, weight down, tail up, and then once you get to the bottom, I think it kind of goes like that. This is the way I picture it in my mind. So Z-Man, the tail is going to stay up some, and then you pop it, and it's doing that. You know, like David Dudley says, "Come and get me." You know, it does the kind of the flat, wop, 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 come and get me. But, you know, something like that. But just, you know, it collapses like it's jumping. So that's kind of how I fish it. I don't drag it just along the bottom. I kind of do the pop. If you think about it like that, like you're hopping it off the bottom where it's kind of doing a little clap. You know, hits the bottom closed, opens up whenever you pop it. So that's how I fish it. And depending on where the fish are at in the water column, if they're 5 feet up, almost like a spoon, I would jerk it up even higher to get it higher in the water column. But you can kind of fish some suspended fish with this too, because it does. If you're using that lighter weight, the fall rate's super slow, which works great around a really finicky bass. Whenever a fishing's tough, use that lightest weight, even if the water is a little bit deeper, and just wait for it to get down there. That's killer. So you're doing this, you're popping it off the bottom. There you go. So throw it everywhere. Throw it on the rod, reel, and line, I said. Get these 2 or 3 colors and the Zman Bang Stickz, the weights, whatever weight you want to throw, a hook. Go out there and just throw it everywhere. Give it the pop. Move it around. Killer. I don't know what else to say. If you're not throwing an eco, you should. This is a killer deal. If you don't like spinning gear, I'm sorry. You need to get right with Jesus, because this will absolutely catch him. But episode 3 over. I appreciate y'all watching, and again, please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. See y'all on the next one.